I've been wondering, how are these connected to those? Let's get into it. Hello everybody, thanks a lot. I'm stoked you guys are joining me once again. By the way, thanks a lot for the great response after last video. We added a ton of folks as new subscribers, so welcome to the family. I really appreciate that as we are embarking on a road to a goal of 300 subscribers by the end of March. I'm your host, Devagaro, and today we're going to take a very interesting and deep dive look into the Huarache Nike Stüssy collaboration. Great, so let's go ahead and dive into the review. First off, opening the lid, the box comes with a orange top, then a bottom with gold and gray stripes, and here on this side it reads, Nike sports shoes are manufactured to the exact specifications of champion athletes throughout the world. And you have this in English and French. Then we have paper wrapping, which is Stüssy branding and Nike branding, and it just says limited edition. So let's open these up, and here we go, boom. The Nike Huarache Stüssy collaboration in the Desert Oak colorway. As always, front to back, we start off with a mudguard in suede, in a brown, very earth-like tone, very nice. And then a toe box with a combination of nylon materials as well as neoprene. Then moving our way up the sneaker, we also have this more padded neoprene in, I want to say, like a dark green, like an olive green color. And behind that we have the shoelaces, which are featured in cream or sail color. Behind that we have the tongue, which is not giving us a lot of give, as you can see, but we'll get into that a little later. And this is the same material that you have on the toe box. As we discussed, the tongue, it also features Nike Air Huarache branding in red TPU or plastic. Maybe you guys can have a look there. Now, looking at the medial side of the sneaker, it's a very simple medial side that incorporates a cage in nubuck with this brown material, which is exactly the same material that we have on the mudguard. So underneath the caging, which by the way also secures the lacing system, underneath it we have the neoprene and the nylon, which creates this soft sock-like material sensation for the foot and just holds everything in place. And then as we make our way towards the rear of the sneaker, that's where it gets really interesting, because this is where the whole inspiration of the sneaker was drawn from. And as you can see, this clip, or this heel strap that I like to call it, that's where we have the whole vibe and the whole story behind the Huarache, as some call it, but in Spanish it's Huarache. So that's a big difference there. Now, where does the Huarache or Huarache come from? And it's a very fascinating story, because even though Tinker Hatfield, the legendary designer in Nike, came up with this shoe, his inspiration was this pre-Columbian, indigenous native Mexican shoe, which is called Huarache, as I already referenced earlier. And the Huarache looks pretty different, but if you look at them side by side, you will start noticing many similarities. And that is a little bit of the history about how the Huarache became to be. Picking up from that brief background story, the heel clip also features Nike branding in this translucent heel clip towards the back, and that just completes and wraps up the shoe in the back. So it's basically like support, but I would say that you don't even need it, because this whole sock liner or ankle sock liner over here has very little give, so it may be a little hard to get your foot inside the sneaker. So it's pretty secure. You're not gonna be, falling back on this too much from my perspective. So, it's just a little bit of a kind of like a visual gimmick. And that's pretty much all there is to the upper section of the sneaker, my friends. Now, moving our way down to the midsole, that's where things get very comfortable. As you can see, it features this foam-like material that has additional texture towards the rear. It has more air branding towards the back, and it is very, very comfortable on the rear side of the sneaker. I can't say the same thing about the front. As you can see, it's not as chunky in the front. So that is an area where I would say that these sneakers lose a bit of a few points with me because it's so comfortable in the back. But when you're walking, then you feel the big disproportionate balance of your body weight. And I just think that it's so good in the rear, but not as great in the front. In one shoe, it's not a good mix. And finally, we make it down all the way to the outsole, which features a black and cream outsole with Nike Air branding in the middle of your foot. In terms of a release date, it's very interesting because a lot of folks don't even know, or they're not aware, that there are 2 different colorways for this drop, and they happen at different dates. So first off, on February 12th, exclusively on Stüssy.com, there was a drop of a different colorway which featured white, yellow, and green. Obviously, that one is a lot harder to cop, and that's a lot harder to get. But then there was a wider release on February 18th, which includes the Desert Oak colorway that I'm holding right here, we're reviewing today. So it's just really interesting how people think that this was the only drop, but in fact, this is the, let's say, GR version, and there's a more limited version or colorway that only dropped on Stüssy.com. Now let's have a quick conversation about the pricing of the Stüssy Huaraches. So these cost in Europe retail at 130 euros. Now, when we move over to the US, in the US, you guys were expecting 120 bucks. In terms of the aftermarket, I gotta say that these are extremely accessible, guys. It's not gonna be hard. It's not hard right now. I think that the last time I checked, there may be 20 bucks above retail. So that's extremely accessible. But I wanted to give everybody a little bit of a tip, and I would suggest holding off on getting them from StockX or GOAT or any of the other big ones, and maybe, source this sneaker locally. Try, I don't know, Craigslist or, anything that's equivalent to that. Or in Germany, eBay Kleinanzeigen, things like that, because I'm sure that you might even get a better deal. When it comes to fit of this Stüssy Huarache collab, my verdict is as follows. Go half a size up unless you have narrow feet. If you have narrow feet, you can go true to size and you're gonna get away with that. But to me, the main issue above all was that my toe was really banging against the mudguard. So there was very little space from a width perspective, which was not comfortable at all. So all the comfort that you guys remember I was talking about from the rear, is canceled by, your toe just poking with the front of the sneaker. Everything else was largely okay. So that's what I would say in terms of fit. So now I'm throwing them on feet. We're gonna test drive them. You won't wanna miss this. Let's get it. that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much. I want to pause for a moment and say thank you so much again. Welcome to the family, to the new subscribers. We have that 300 goal towards the end of March. We're on track to getting it and shattering it, hopefully with your help. So please remember to subscribe, hit that notification bell, like the videos, and comment. I really want to know, what did you think about the Huaraches? What do you think about Nike? Are these a cop? Are these not a drop? Or are they? So let me know. I'll be looking forward to hearing from you guys. So now, of course, everybody has been debriefed and we can officially declassify the Nike Air Huarache Stüssy collaboration in the Desert Oak colorway. And obviously, remember, always fresh, never stress. Until next time, and thank you.
In the darkest hour, I wanna come for you.